Hello. Um, Today I'm going to be doing probably a longer video. It's been requested by a couple of people who've given me feedback from the sheet so far. To just go in a bit more depth about some other part of the sheet, um, that other than the optimal team calculator. Um, because obviously I think I spent a lot of time on that because I guess that's the main feature of it that I guess is harder to find elsewhere. Um, so I put a lot of emphasis on that, but today I'm going to go over some of the other sheets in a bit more detail, and then also add a bit more context to everything. So not just be like, okay, here's a tool, here's how you use it. It's like actually adding some context of kind of use cases and why you should be using it. Not why you should use mine or if anyone else's, but like just why you should be using this sort of solver in the first place. Um, so first page we have, I won't go over the how to use page. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a list of some information of how to use it. First page I'll go over is the team picker. I'm just gonna check my. Okay, yeah, wait, I'll put it. Okay, sorry. I just check we're recording. I record all my videos in one take, by the way. Call me lazy. I don't do any post processing. I just try and do it all in one take. um, so yeah, we'll just carry on. So, we have the team picker page. Um, Now, this is from kind of manual tinkering, but I still use this when I'm planning on using the optimal team solver. So I'm not going to go to the optimal team solver page yet. I'm just going to take this one step at a time. But I would sometimes like copy my results from there into here. So then I have a reference of teams. And this is actually one page that you can actually quite safely edit. Like you can pretty much just like if you need more, you can just copy. Did I cut and paste? You can just copy and paste, and that copy and paste will work. Um, I might add a macro eventually to like a add team sort of function. Let's remove that from now. We're on the base model, aren't we? I'll carry on doing a tutorial on the original copy. And there's only one person opening it right now, so we should be fine for the purpose of the video. So yeah, on this page, what it will show you is like you have a drop down of the assets, so you can just manually tinker your teams, the price, the average scored for that asset, and then column to the right, it's the average, but it's factoring in the turbo driver and mega driver. I don't know what to call them, buffs. Yeah, we call them buffs. Um, Enhancements. I don't even know what to call them now. I've lost words. But yeah, it will factor in. So like, it'll take his average and it'll times it by 3. If this is toggled. So if I was doing a mega driver test for Monaco, which this is, this would be kind of like what I'd put in. And yeah, and then just how else would you use this page if you weren't comfortable using the optimal team solver? Maybe it's not that hard to use it. Maybe you just are like, you know what? I just want something quick and easy to tinker around with my teams and see some sort of predictions. Then you can just use this page. You can just tinker around, be like, you know what would what would Hamilton, Perez, Ricardo is getting expensive. No, this is going to be too expensive. Hamilton, Leclerc, Norris, Gasly. We're just building a random team here, by the way. Um, what would this team get me? And you could just run that and find out. Now, this this column here is obviously showing you averages, which I've gone over so far. Now, this column is predicted. What is this? Predicted what? Is it an AI prediction? Is it my prediction? Is it your prediction? Well, this sheet is designed to run your predictions. So the whole kind of purpose of the solver and the team picker is to kind of help you make the best picks based off your own logic. So what I see a lot of people, like in my friends league, for example, see people talking about certain drivers. Um, they have an idea of like kind of the best teams, and they have basically they have the basis of their own prediction, but they don't pick their team based on that. They go through the process of like, for example, you know what? I think Hamilton, I think Hamilton's going to win the race. I want Hamilton, um, which is a good starting point, I guess, in some regards. But realistically, even if Verstappen finishes P2 in a lot of races, um, the the the, the best teams will still be um, Verstappen-based teams, not Hamilton-based teams, because obviously points per million, which we're looking at here, is better value. Now that's where your prediction comes in, which we're going on to that page now. So this page, just it's an input page basically. This on the left side is an input, and the right side is basically is the output. And all the calculations for that are done here, which you don't have to worry about. You don't edit this page. I'm probably going to eventually hide this page actually, just so that no one can accidentally edit it. But let's go back to predicted input. Now, how to use this? Now, and when would you want to use this? Let's start with when you'd want to use this. So you'd probably want to use this for so for well in advance. I ran predicted race outcomes for Monaco before I'd even really decided on what team I was running for Spain. Because Monaco for me, for me and for everyone really, it's going to be a really big race because that's when a lot of drivers are hitting their streak. It's when the mega driver should be. It's the first opportunity to use your mega driver. So I wanted to know in advance some of the teams that would be good based on my predictions for that race. Now I don't have all the information, right? Like I don't know the pecking order for free practice free in Monaco, but we have some inclination, right? We know that they're like it's a tight fight between Red Bull and Hamilton this year. We know that typically Red Bull, in theory, should be strong at Monaco compared to other tracks because they run a high downforce setup. So I still have some information to make a prediction, right? And I can get some early information on predicted outputs for different teams. And the reason that helps me is because we're limited each week to 3 substitutes, right? So if I don't have my wild card or I don't plan on using it on the week before Monaco, um, I I need to get my team for Spain in a position where it it's kind of like it's half of the team I'm going to be running for Monaco, because you don't just pick for Spain. You pick if that was the case, we'd be running out of subs pretty quickly every week if we were just trying to go week to week picking the optimal team. It probably just wouldn't be possible because um because teams like rise up for different tracks, and some fall down. It probably just wouldn't be possible based on subs. You'd be taking -10 points. So you need to pick team. You need to pick your team and like be thinking ahead for when drivers hitting streaks and stuff. So that gets me onto this page. So this is set up currently for Monaco. Now this section here is the driver streak input, and this section here is the constructor streak input. Now this if you tick these, basically what it tells the calculator is Bottas is on 4 out of 5 on his race streak. This is telling me that he's primed to hit his qualification streak. So if if based on my prediction hit if this scenario happens, um, if Bottas, as we see right here, Bottas. Let me just highlight because I realize that this obviously going to probably look smaller in a YouTube video. So let's highlight Bottas. So he's right here. Um, so he's met that condition. He has achieved the qualification streak that I primed him to do. Now that's going to give him 5 bonus points here. So that's all this is really is basically telling the calculator that um, that you want it to factor in that they could hit a streak if they meet the condition that this requires, basically. This is quite simple. You just toggle on or off. So are Ferrari 4 out of 5, basically. That's the question. The reason why I don't have this automatically pulling in any race data to automatically prime the streaks is because I want us to be flexible. I want you to be able to use this for Spain, and I want you to be able to use this for Monaco, and so on throughout the season. We want you to be able to use this one for in advance. So this needs to be customizable, because if I was running this for Spain, which has just happened, so this is in hindsight, let's say I was running this for Spain, I'd turn these off because no drivers were going to hit their streak. I just turn them off. None of them were primed to hit a streak. But who was going to hit a streak? It was Red Bull were primed for a qualification streak, and Alpine were primed for a race streak. Now, if some of you just don't know what streaks are and you still are kind of confused, let me just go to the F1 website. Let's go to teams. Let's go to Monaco. Let's go to manage, and let me hit here. So this here, this bar, qualification streak, and then race streak. This is the streak information. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5. So this here is what in terms of the spreadsheet is primed for a streak hit. So they're primed to hit that streak because they're 4 out of 5. So the outcome of this race, if favorable for the streaks, it will give them the points. Basically, this is all this is. Reason I've gone a bit more in depth in this is I've had, I think, three people actually asking about this specific bit. So I'm sorry if maybe it's not that clear. Because obviously when I've made this, obviously I've made it, right. So I get it because it's been made in my image. So feedback's really helpful for this for me, guys, because I really want to keep improving this. I'm already working on a version 2. Should we have a sneak peek of that? Yeah. So this is just a data sheet that I'm going to work on. So as you can see, we already have sentiment tracker. This will update prices automatically, the ownership, and this will pull in to your guys' sheets. You won't have to update. And I've got like loads more other things coming and developing. So your feedback is really, really helpful. Because I've got two future planned releases. Got like a version 2 that's gonna have some, and then a version 3 which is gonna have even more. But yeah, let's carry on. So quality predictions. This is straightforward. You just pop in qualification, prediction, and then race prediction is race prediction, and then fastest lap. Who you think is going to be fastest lap? Now I guess just a little bit more on why to use it, and what to base your predictions on. Now obviously the best thing to really go on is FP3. AWS produce the qualification pace, and then you can make a judgment call. Let me start again on this. So let's say you're using the AWS data. So you know those when they're in practice, AWS come up with the sorry, there's a train going by. Hopefully you can't hear that. AWS has the qualification speed of all the teams, and it will rank them based on their qualification pace. Now you could just run, if it says like Verstappen's the fastest in quali, Hamilton, Bottas, Paris, and that's the AWS data. You could just run that, and then what you wouldn't do then is then just put in the race pace here, because obviously they've qualified in this order and they're not just going to finish in their race pace order. Now what you would do is make a judgment call, right? Okay, how you need to think about how easy is it to pass on this track? So we just had the Spanish Grand Prix, and next we have Monaco, 2 tracks that are very hard to pass on. So the qualification order is usually quite indicative of how the race is going to finish. So maybe the movement you would basically copy this. You'd be like, okay, this is my qualification prediction, and then you would copy this in. I recommend just doing paste values only, by the way, just to avoid formatting errors. And you would paste it in, and then just move it about a little bit. It's like, okay, well, if AWS is telling me that the Leclerc is qualifying really high, now because it's Monaco, you know what? I think he's gonna hold P5. Just leave it. Then you can go through and you can DNF people. So what one thing I have put here is DNFs you need to put at the bottom. So if you think Sonoda's going to DNF, let's say you think he was going to be in 12th position at the start, you can't just DNF him here. Make sure you put him down. The way sheets work, I could probably do it. I need to think about it more, but yeah, make sure you put DNFs at the bottom. But yeah, you would just change the qualification prediction a bit. So I guess the flip side of that example is, okay, we've got a track where overtaking is really easy. Trying to think of an example, I can't. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. But we have there that's where maybe you go to the race data, the race pace, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna based on the race pace. Let's say Ferrari are really lacking. Their race pace is all the way down. Let's say like estimate like because like P9, P8 sort of positions in race pace. Maybe they won't drop. Maybe Leclerc won't drop down all the way to P8 or P9. But like I'm gonna chuck him in. I'm gonna chuck him in seventh to kind of because it's kind of like it's nearly there. So if they're saying eighth or ninth, oh, you know what? I'll just relegate him 2 positions because I'm not confident in his race pace. And that's what you do. Now, obviously, this example is based off of okay FP3 AWS. So when it comes to really looking ahead of like how do I use it though if Monaco's not having it happening for 2 weeks, and I've got to make some subs now to maybe avoid losing value. So like currently Perez is dropping in value, so maybe you're holding on to Perez currently. Like fuck it, I need to swap him out. Like, and I need to make that sub now because I don't want to lose money because I've seen some teams I want to build potentially that are high value. Now that's kind of when you would maybe want to just know in advance. Okay, I need to kind of know some idea of what I'm building now. So in that scenario, you've got to go you've got to go off historic data. You've got to go off kind of like expert opinions on how the team's going. For that specifically, I recommend that you be part of a group that just likes F1. Join. There's a group called F1 Fantasy Tracker. They have a Discord, and they also have a website which is really good. F1fantasytracker.com. And this isn't sponsored, by the way. Obviously not. This video is probably gonna get like 100 or so views. Like it's not. I'm not sponsored by these guys. I'm just part of their group. They're really, 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 really helpful. And just like in these guys' Discord, they can help you with the race predictions for like in advance. People who have opinions, who've been watching F1 for a while, have been playing fantasy for a while. And that's kind of how you could make some in advance. Some people have AI models that can produce kind of like estimated race outcomes. So if you ask around, someone might be able to give you an AI prediction for a race, and then you could pop that AI prediction in here. So you could, yeah, and then you could run that, and you could get a team that's an AI prediction. Now that's it for this page. It's quite straightforward. If you guys still have any more questions about it, just let me know. But yeah, on to the next one. Okay, so the sheet setup page. Now, this currently doesn't automatically update, which is actually really bad because I already know how to do it. The only reason I've held off doing it is because I know there's quite a lot of people now that have their own copies of the sheet. And I don't want to update this base copy and tell you all, right, make a new copy. Because this now auto updates. Because I'm working on a complete new version of this entire thing already that will have that anyway. And then at that point, I'm going to recommend that you swap over anyway. So I'm going to just fast track the version 2 of everything, um, rather than have this auto updating in the short term. Just to make everything a bit more just simple for you guys. Now you do either have to manually update these prices and total points, which is really annoying, or you can just come to the main sheet, which I update pretty regularly, and just literally copy and then paste it into your own sheet. Now, actually, what I could do, actually, it wouldn't be too hard for me to actually set this up to pull the data from the API. I will add that in. Okay, I will add it in. I'll add it in. Soon. But yeah. Anyway, then races. This basically is for the season averages that you see in the team picker. You need to set the race number because if you update total points in your sheet and you don't change the race number, these will be wrong. So it will do the total points divided by the race number. Very simple. Then your budget. So this page is pretty much just like setting the sheet up to work in other areas. It's pretty straightforward. Now, this is I guess, the more complicated bit. Honestly, it really isn't that complicated. Don't be phased by like all these settings, and the fact that you have to use an external sidebar that also maybe looks a bit confusing if you're not that technical minded. So the good news is you don't have to worry about this at all. All you need to do with this is if you followed the installation sort of video, all you have to do is make sure you have this open, and all you need to worry about here is this button, solve model. So this is going to solve the model based on the settings you have on this page, and it's also going to pull in this information and these fantasy points to calculate an optimal team. So I think what some people may be a bit confused with is okay, it gives me my optimal team, great, but like, are you telling me I just run that team? Like I just do it once, run it, or like do I just wait till FP3, do it, and then run it? Okay, well that's what I got. No. So everything I was saying before about obviously you'd want to do this in different scenarios, do it in advance to find out because you need to be thinking about your team in advance. This is where this comes in just it's so handy because rather than having it's the same process of doing this. It's like you all the tinkering around you do here to find optimal lineups. This does for you. So and you can force it to do different things. Now, I don't really want this video to become like an advanced guide of how to use this. But I will explain it anyway, actually, because there isn't really that many advanced features, actually. I think by like saying this is advanced, maybe it confuses people even more because they're like, oh, I don't want to touch that. Yeah. So let's go over scenario 1. Scenario 1 is simply knowing the best team, right? So, what's the best team for the weekend? Now, this predicted points input was a Monaco prediction, right? So, I was going to run my Mega Driver, but for the sake of the example, I'm just going to leave the Turbo Driver on. Now, I'm going to run model, and here we go. So what it does, I might as well explain this while it's happening. So it starts processing the model. It processes the constraints that it's been set to. All those constraints are actually not, you don't see a lot of them here, but like some of them are here. So various stuff such as like the constraint, it must pick a team of team size 6. it must pick one turbo driver. It must pick 4 turbo drivers. Sorry, it must pick 4 drivers which are not turbo driver or mega driver, and it must pick 1 constructor. And now these are basically all the other constraints. These are basically just telling it it can only pick a maximum of 1 Hamilton. Basically, that's all this is. Maybe it looks a bit more confusing than it is, but basically, by me toggling, let's say Hamilton, it basically forces the calculator to ignore him. It just will not pick Hamilton. So yes, okay. Let's go back to scenario 1. Well, I was just, sorry, I'm putting a bit all over the place. Like I said, I do this all in one take. But let's soldier on. So we have a 214 prediction. Now this is scenario 1. So let's just go over scenario 1 one more time quickly. So scenario 1 is obviously I set my budget, I've entered in my prediction for whatever reason. Like let's just say it was kind of early on in the week. Also, I just realized I'm not going to change this, but obviously I said this was for Monaco. It's not for Monaco. This is actually we changed this earlier in the guide, didn't we? This is Spain. This is the Monaco lineup prediction, but with the Spain qualification. It doesn't matter. We're in a guide. So as we can see, it's just giving me this team. So now what do I do? Right? Do I just like, okay, cool, that's my team, sorted? No. So first of all, you don't even know. Like you're gonna have to check, right? Like if you can make that team. So you might not have the subs to make it, right? You might have a completely different looking team. You might be too many subs out, or here's the other thing. You might know this team in advance, and you're like, okay, that's cool, but like, Ocon's currently dropping in value. I don't know if that's true. Probably not. It's an example. Let's say Ocon's currently dropping in value, and then what's something that is true? Perez is currently dropping in value. So you're like, oh, it's like, oh, cool. It'd be great to have Perez, but like, I don't want him now. So like, and then but it might be the scenario that like, Perez. So we're moving on to scenario 2 now, from scenario 1. So, Perez might be dropping in value, right? And so you're gonna have to make a sub, and you're probably gonna make just a sub that's purely for profit. You get someone in who's rising in value. You don't really know if you're gonna run him for the race. Probably not. He's not in this team. So you've already made one sub. So and let's just say, for example, this team's now out of reach. This team costs too many subs. So we're going to enable subs mode. Enable subs mode. Now, the great thing about subs mode is that all the outputs on the calculator will always output something that is possible based on whatever you give it. So let's create a team quickly that is out of range of this team. So how many subs will it take? So we've got Bottas, Ricardo, Sainz, Norris, Gasly, and McLaren. So we are 1, 2, 3. Wait, is this a completely different team? Wait, no, no, no. Yeah, so they're completely different teams. This is probably a bit too wild of an example. Let's make them a little bit closer. Pardon me. Let's make them kind of close, just so I can show you this. So we've got Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc. That's 3. So this is 3 subs away from this team. We only have 2 subs. So now I can solve model again. So this is maybe I'm midweek now. Maybe I've made a sub, or maybe it's still early in the week. And I'm thinking, okay, well I need to kind of know. I want to know a general direction of what I could be heading to. So I'm going to run it again. This time in subs mode. And let's have a look. Now you could run it in subs mode all the time, but I think like the reason you wouldn't would be let's say these predictions were kind of like I was looking ahead for Monaco or something, or looking 2 races ahead. Right, so it's changed the team. It's kept Norris. Kept Norris. It swapped the McLaren for Red Bull. It kept Gasly's. Was Gasly in it originally? Oh no, I don't think he kept Gasly. No, I did. And then got rid of Leclerc. So yeah, it's rejigged the team based on what was possible with 2 subs. And it's 205, not 214 anymore. So you know that this is the compromise for making that value sub. So you could actually do this before you make the sub. You could be like, okay, well, do I take the 0.1 hit on Perez, or do I keep my subs? Now, this is kind of things sort of early use you could do where like I can immediately see that by limiting myself to 2 subs rather than the 3 that I could have actually made to get that optimal lineup. Based on my own prediction, that's cost me was it 214? So it's cost me 9 points. Um, Now obviously all of this is based on your prediction, so it's always about helping you pick the best team based on what you think is going to happen. So next up, what's this stuff? So this comes in handy for when you don't want to pick someone despite your own prediction. Now you're thinking, oh, why would I want to do that? I guess this is where you can start factoring in some risk mitigation. So let's say your prediction is like, okay, yeah, Gasly, where did we predict him? Ninth, cool. So sure, him finishing ninth means he should theoretically make it to my lineup. And let's just say, you know what, whatever reason, this isn't a real example, but I just I just don't want Gasly. Like maybe he's let you down a couple of times before. I'm not advocating that just because someone's let you down before, you should let that influence your decisions. You should always base it on actual logical arguments and like how they should perform. But so for whatever reason, um, there's just like maybe like he's at a high DNF rate. I don't know. I don't know. Just but let's say there is some reason you don't want Gasly. You can just turn him off. You can basically turn him off in the calculators. This now will just while this is off, you just won't ever pick Gasly. Um, a better example is Mazepin. So let's just say like there could be teams in your budget, even if you've predicted that Mazepin won't DNF. There could be teams within your budget that are theoretically the best team that you just they have Mazepin, but you're just like, no, I'm not taking that risk. It's like, sure, the predicted points outcome might be great, but like, I don't want that risk. It's like I'd rather take a predicted outcome of 190 rather than 200 because it has Schumacher rather than Mazepin, and maybe that would there'd probably another driver change as well, but you just don't want that risk. So that's where this comes in handy of turning assets off. Um, Now, the other settings like constructors, there aren't many use cases now that subs mode exists. There aren't many situations where you would want to turn constructor off now because you have the flexibility to um, force it to pick certain constructors. You have the subs mode, so turning this off completely um, probably would really need to be done. Like, I can't think of any logic that would lead me to it, but yeah. And then the constructors. I'm trying to think. So, Monaco. I don't know what scenario we were on. Let's say this is scenario 4. Right, I don't know what it was, but something that a guy called Brian recently pointed out in the F1 Fantasy Tracker Discord. Um, Definitely not sponsored by them, I promise. They're really good guys. So he's an analyst there. One thing he mentioned specifically for Monaco was um, running running a cheaper constructor, like a really cheap constructor in Monaco, where everyone's hitting streaks, could be really really strong because you're mitigating the risk of running lower fielded drivers, um, which are higher, like which statistically speaking are have a higher chance of DNFing, which would lower your points output. Now the in terms of the optimal teams, it may never include a Haas, but for a week like Monaco, where there's lots of drivers hitting their streak, you might be running a mega driver. You're running turbo driver on a high priced asset that's primed to get their streak and do well, and you want to fit in other top 10 drivers that are hitting their streak. Now, this is where you might be like, okay, I actually want to turn off a load of assets this week because I know um I know what I'm going for. Not based on just like pure statistical output of like this is the best team, but based off of like in your mind as well, like adding that human element of like risk mitigation and being like this. Sure, this might be a 370 point Mega Driver outcome, and this might be a 350, but the difference if this one goes wrong compared to more like the likelihood of this one going wrong compared to this one is much lower. So I want to run this sort of team. So in this example, I've turned off every constructor. We'll leave Williams on. Let's turn Gasly back on. And let's leave Mazepin disabled. Let's just say we're just not running Mazepin for this race. And let's turn Tsunoda off as well. Two drivers that look a bit wacky on the racetrack. Let's turn subs mode off just for this example. I just want to see some of the teams it gives us. Now this isn't primed for streaks because we haven't set it up, but it doesn't really matter for this example. It's just to show you the mechanics of how this works and how you can manipulate it. So, no, let's just solve model. So now it's going to give me an output that will only output teams running Williams or Haas. And you might think I'm crazy for this idea. It's not my idea, but it's good. It's good logic based off of really good statistics from a guy called Brian. Yeah, and we'll just see what this gives. So, and once this is done, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to really go over. I doubt it. But let's see what this gives us first. Here we go. Right. So here we have it. We have Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Leclerc, Gasly, and Haas. So as you can see, Haas they're not going to score me any points. But what I do have is a driver lineup that is all in the top 10, which for a week like Monaco, and just to clarify, this is not a Monaco prediction, but next is an example. For a week like Monaco, this could be a lineup I want to run because I'm more confident that those drivers just do the job, get the car home, and get those bonus points. More so than I am in a team like, let's go to the team picker quickly. Than a team like this, for example. I'm more confident than a team like this that is it carries more risk. Running the Schumacher. I mean, this team actually. Oh, this is 105.3 million actually. That's not a realistic example. Come on. Hang on. Let me fix this. 102 McLaren. I mean, this doesn't have too much risk, but still, Schumacher's there, and for Monaco, you might just want to really maximize maximize those kind of dead set points. Because I think the stats for this specific example were, I don't think the top three in Monaco, I don't think they had DNF'd in like a period of quite a few years. So like being high up and they just get that race done, they don't crash. But it was the further back they were, the higher DNF rate. And obviously DNFs ruin your fantasy team. So avoiding them on a big week like Monaco is definitely advisable. Um, yeah, I've got a couple more things to go over. So nothing more of the sheet, but there is a version 2 of this document being worked on. Now the sheet. Um, so currently, this I think I spoke about this a little bit in my previous video that I also recorded today. But when I first made this, I did it for myself. Made it for myself. So like the presentation of it, the I'm trying to think. This is the presentation, the way it works, the simple, like how simple it was going to be. It was never really meant to be used by other people. But then I just thought, you know what? I want to share. I want to share this. I want to share this to people because I don't care about winning the entire thing. I don't care if people have access to the same tools that I'm using. I just care about winning my own friends and family league. But even then, it's like I don't I don't want to deny people access to kind of just simple information of like how to play F1 Fantasy. But then also just this tool, it isn't some super duper AI predictor. Um, it's just helping you make decisions based on your own beliefs on racing. But then, it does allow you to input data based on stats, based on AI. So you still have to do some of the work with this document. You still have to actually input the predictions. Now, going back to my point, is that version 2 of this, there will be some more automation. They'll be better designed. Um, Stuff like the price updates are going to be automatic. I'm working on some new pages, new features such as like entering in your current team for the week you're running, getting like live updates on it, or semi-live updates. What else? Sentiment tracker, price tracker. Then like the calculator. Obviously, one thing that's kind of I guess annoying for some people that just want to come in and grab a team potentially is that you have to input the predictions. So um, I'm going to run this side by side eventually to output two teams. It will output this team, and then always alongside it will basically just be a stats-based team based on season averages. So, and I haven't decided yet whether it will be um, uh, just a complete season average or if it will be like a form team based on like the past 5 races. And then ultimately in like a probably for 2021, 2022, bloody hell, I lost the year. Um, I will try to add a AI predictor. So you would have three um, outputs to compare. You'll have a kind of just a simple stats based team, like average teams. So it's like, okay, past 5 races on average, this is the best team. That will never change actually every time you run the solver because it's based on averages that already exist and they're not changing unless another race happens. So that team, whenever you run it, would stay the same. Then the prediction would this predictor, your prediction one would always change, and then the AI predictor pretty much would be um, the same as well. But that's kind of like the goal long term. So there's definitely improvements coming. So like one thing that's just really useful for me is that like having people actually using this and giving me feedback really helps me. It really helps me help you more. So the more feedback I get, um, it helps me design something that can help you you use the tool better and hopefully get better results from it. So I think that's everything for this video. I have no idea how long it is. and I hope I hit record at the start. Um, but yeah, if you've enjoyed this, please do the. I don't really do YouTube. Hit the like, hit subscribe, and check out the if for some reason you've got to this point in the video and you don't have the tool, um, then first of all, congrats. But you're probably still wondering how to install it. Check the top right. There'll be a little information tooltip of an earlier model of this tool, but it shows you how to make a copy and install OpenSolver to get it all running. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope everyone has a good 2 weeks waiting for Monaco. Right, see ya.